Hello, good morning, and many thanks for joining us on another edition of Newspaper Headlines Review on Agate Television, a combined broadcast of Agate Television and Agate Radio 95.5 Star FM Makudi. Of course, my name is Fanen Kwano. Joining me on the program again is our public affairs analyst, Leonard Ike. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Also with us is our regular guest, seasoned journalist, Teve Akasi. Thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure to be here again.
Or you can also join us on our social media handles, Facebook, YouTube, and then let's do this together. It's a time that we take a look at what national dailies are saying. And of course, this morning we want to begin with the Daily Trust newspaper. And then it comes with this banner headline, but we wouldn't be giving it that much energy because it's indeed a sad one. Villagers flee as gunmen kill many in Benue. Villagers flee as gunmen kill many in Benue. And then we have medical outreach turns awry in Abia as many hospitalized. And then violence. Tinubu to present 2025 budget to National Assembly tomorrow. And then Kano governor flags of recertification of C of O. And then just below the nameplate, you could see Tinubu didn't seek National Assembly's approval to buy presidential jet. And this is coming from Abari Bay. Service sector raises GDP by 3.46% in Q3. Northern lawyers condemn attempt to remove CCT chairman illegally. So these are some of the headlines we have in the Daily Trust newspaper. And as usual, we're going to begin with the banner headlines. Which is villagers flee as gunmen kill many in Benue. And more so that it is from our domain. So we're going to look at that right away. All right, so let me start with you, Chief Teve Akasi. Villagers flee as gunmen kill many in Benue State. When I saw that, I was looking at, the last headline review here. We talked about them Zoo Chief calling for amnesty, for these guys, our brothers in the bush, as they are fondly called. All right, so we hope that they were going to succumb to that and a lot of things are going to improve. So now we hear disturbing news again. I think communities in Logo, communities in Katsina have that. So do we see us moving forward from the amnesty that we just granted, or talks that are still ongoing with, peace talks that are still ongoing with bandits and whole of that?
Well, first of all, let me send my sincere condolences to our people in the Sankra axis of Benue State, particularly in the current case, the people of Kasnala and the people of Logo, who came under severe attacks in the last 48 hours. We understand some people have been killed. The police have also confirmed that, as well as the military. And this is very, very sad. Very sad because our people do not deserve what is happening to them. Sankra is the food, as we said here the other time, is the food basket of Benue State, and by extension, the food basket of Nigeria. The Zaki Biam yam market is the largest yam market in West Africa. It has been confirmed by even ECOWAS. So for this to be happening persistently to that very important part of the state, it's quite unfortunate, and we console our people who have been affected. I read the report, and the local government chairman, the two local government chairmen, Kasnala and that of Logo, confirmed that these attacks were carried out by herdsmen, armed herdsmen. Yes, we have banditry, local banditry there, which security agencies have been fighting. But the latest attack was confirmed by the two local government chairmen that they were invaders. They were not the guys in the bush in that area. The local bandits, these people came from outside of Sankra to attack our people there. So it's really, really unfortunate. And I commend the efforts of the security agencies who who have been overstretched in that side of Benue State. But we must encourage them to keep doing what they are doing, and our people to support security agencies to be able to control what is happening there. But one aspect of this situation which I am not comfortable with is on the side of the state government, which is not saying or doing enough, if you ask me. Because see, we said here the other time that security and welfare are the two basic things, the two mandatory things that the constitution of this country says government must provide for the people. So if the government must be seen to be worried over what is happening. It is not enough to say the government is on top of the situation. The government cannot be on top of the situation when our people, look at that report, that villagers are fleeing. And these are farmers. If they flee and they leave the farmlands, where will the food come from? So I expect, this is no politics at all, I expect the government of Benue State to sit up and do better than it is being done. Security agencies, most of them, police, the military, are not from here. The government has local vigilante, it has volunteer guards, livestock guards. These people are supposed to be the first line of intelligence gathering. And if you have outfits like that, how much of use are you putting them? You have to. These are people who reside in those communities. Volunteer guards were picked from each community. How much of utility are you putting them to? You have to use these guys. Let them be providing intelligence to the conventional security agencies for them to know that, okay, these people are coming on this axis. Now, the security operation can go to this way and be able to curb, to stamp that, to nip that in the bud. That's the aspect I think that the government of the state needs to do better than is being done.
All right, Ikem, I would also want you to react to this disturbing report. Apart from Katsina-Ala, Logu, we also have some pockets of these things going on. I think I traveled earlier last month or so to the Zone C axis, and then there was also some disturbing report of this nature of invaders, like the two local government chairmen have pointed out. So, in your opinion, what do you think should be done or should not be done to ensure that this ugly menace is stemmed?
Yeah, it's quite unfortunate that this has become a daily topic in our state. In our last edition of this program, we spoke about insecurity in our villages, insecurity causing drastic reduction in agricultural food production. The same thing is happening. It's quite unfortunate that a group of people will come to Benue State from outside and even claim that part of Benue State is theirs without the state government saying anything. I read the report in the newspapers, and one of them, specifically the Daily Trust, if you read to the end, the chairman of Logu local government precisely said that the attackers are claiming ownership of Tombo,
yes,
as their own land. That is to tell you, bandits who've been following their activities, they have not claimed ownership of any land anywhere. So for people coming to claim ownership of land that has been occupied by that, they're actually coming from the outside. And then the chairman of Logu local government, by implication, is the chief security officer of his own local government. And I expect that the state government will make a statement looking into this matter, taking it beyond the normal joke. Why do I say the normal joke? Well, these attacks are reoccurring by the day. We've not heard anything from the state government. All what we hear is that they don't discuss security on the air. No, nobody is asking you to tell the Benue people your security tactics. But we want to be assured. We want to at least know that the state government is doing something. For a local government chairman to come out and say that some people are claiming ownership or part of the area within the state, that is a very serious statement. I feel that the state government is not just doing enough. The previous administration tried on their bit by bringing some policies, bringing some legislations, establishing local security outfits to make sure at least they help in this line of action. They have been reduced. I've seen some of the trucks being converted to logistics. Most of the volunteer guards or the livestock guards have become people who guide houses or who patrol within the town without any security information or without any help in line with the legislation that established them. So please, I feel that the state government is not doing well enough. We'll keep crying and calling on the name of the state government to come and perform its duties by securing these areas that are continuously under attack.
Okay. All right. And that you think should be through strengthening the law and also that was established, the anti-open grazing prohibition and ranching establishment law, and then some of the security forces that were established in line with that law and strengthening them. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Definitely. That's what I'm saying.
All right. So that takes us to the next newspaper, and we want to look at federal government plans more troops as sect spreads in North. We're talking about the Punch. Federal government plans more troops as sect spreads in the North. All right, so closely related to what we discussed in Benue. The writer here says Northwest states procure vehicles, orders for troops. Sect spreads to North Central. CDS plans more military bases. Okay, Chief Akase, we also want to talk about this. The Lakurawa group that started some few weeks ago in Kebbi State, to be precise.
Yes.
Later spread to Sokoto, Touch in their line of activities. So
well, it's you see the problem we have is we are reactionary. We are reactionary in nature in this country. This is the same way Boko Haram began during the Yaradua era, the late President Yaradua's era 9 thereabout, 2007, 2008. Shortly after Yaradua assumed office, that was when Boko Haram began, like a joke. The late president, God bless his soul, was able to nip, he quickly moved against Boko Haram, but somehow he didn't live long. His steps in tackling, look at what he did for the Niger Delta militants. He was able to reduce the attacks on oil installations in the Niger Delta, and the same way he moved against Boko Haram. Perhaps if he had lived longer, we wouldn't have had the insecurity in the northeast and other parts of northern Nigeria like we have now. Now, we have been reactive. We have been reactionary, more or less. This Lukarawa, what do you call them? Lakurawa. This Lakurawa group is not new, but the federal government is describing them as a new sect. This is not a new sect.
Okay. Reports have confirmed that this group began way back in 2016. And how it happened, these are people, I'm not profiling the Fulani ethnicity, nationalities, but the truth is that reports have confirmed that majority of members of that sect are of Fulani extraction. They came into Nigeria, according to the reports carried out by Professor Ahmed Rufai of Usman Dan Fodio University.
This sect came into Nigeria around 2016. They were invited by a chief in one of the villages in Sokoto State to come and fill up the gap that was created, the vacuum that was created by the non-policing of the communities under the domain of that chief. In other words, there were security breaches, so the chief felt that he will invite the fighters to come and help him police his domain, and they were given support. Now, sooner than later, members of this sect began to take laws into their hands and became law enforcement agents in that domain. And eventually they began to recruit more young men, idle young men in that community. And they began to spread, gradually began to spread to neighboring communities. That is what we have today as the Lakurawa sect, 2016, 2017. Now, it was for the security intelligence gathering machinery to be able to know that this is the same way Boko Haram began. You know, they come like messiahs of the people. They come like, hey, we are here to help you against criminals, against whatever. Then when they help you do that, eventually they begin to decide issues, describing them as a new sect, but it is not new, according to reports that we have confirmed. So if the necessary steps were taken to nip this group in the bud at that early stage, we wouldn't have what we're having now, in the same mode like Boko Haram.
Okay, that's for you. It is reactionary, way of fighting insecurity. Or Chief of Defense Staff plans more military bases, in tackling this group. What do you see of this?
Yeah, like my course, who have said, TV Akase, this is just being also reactionary, like you said. We take intelligence for granted. We get this information, but we don't act. In time, we wait for things to spread before we come to combat. Let me just come down a little to Benue State. Around 2007 to 2011, before 2015, we had what is called, we had PDP Central Youth in the state, which began as a support group to the party and later metamorphosed into settling cases, arresting people before 2015. By 2015, when Samuel Oton won the governorship election, he disbanded them. He said, if you have any problem, go to the police. There shouldn't be anybody, any structure outside the one regulated by government. And then that was when even the issue of paying for matching grant stopped. It starts very small, just like the way Akase said. But intelligence should tell you that these are things that, if left unchecked, will grow into monsters. So, I appreciate if the federal government will, as usual, spread troops across the country to curtail the fast spreading of the Lakurawa before it gets to every nooks and crannies of the state. We'll be very happy. But like Akase said, it's reactionary, and I think it is not helping us as a people.
Okay, but you think, don't you think the reactionary measure, should it just be left like that?
No, that is why we are also appreciating the federal government for trying to establish military bases to curtail them.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, to other issues. Customs seizes 556 million contraband in Ogun State. 2025 budget, 13 states commit 3.8 trillion naira to salaries. Others, US-based Nigerian bag 30-year jail term for $3.5 million romance scam. And then pensions have outperformed my predecessors, says Adeleke. All right, above the nameplate, we have these headlines. States tackle NNPCL over extra 1 trillion naira subsidy payment. JACPA workers on federal government payroll resigning amid probe. And this is coming from the head of Civil Service of the Federation. Labor protest, NBS drop in unemployment rate report. Unemployment rate report. And then just beside the nameplate, EFCC places Obaseki on watch list, probes contracts. So Ikem was also speaking about labor protest, NBS drop in unemployment rate report.
Yeah, I think the NBS, I don't know the variables, the macroeconomic variables they use to the methodology they use to arrive at that figure of 4.3 resulting in unemployment. If you look at what is happening now, all the macroeconomic variables are downward trajectory.
Let me cut in a bit. Let's make Nigerians understand this. When you say unemployment rate has dropped to 4.3%, what does it mean?
By implication, if they are saying it drops to 4.3, it means out of 100 Nigerians, we only have 4 people that are unemployed.
Okay.
That is not true. You only have 4 people that are not employed in 100 Nigerians. So that is why I say the economic variables, we don't know the methodology they are using, because we are talking about when all the trajectory are downwards. You are talking about when factories are closing down. You are talking about when insecurity is everywhere and people that are even self-employed in agriculture are running away from their farming areas to town for safety. Are you talking about the high cost of inflation that is even putting traders out of the market? And then you are saying unemployment has reduced to 4.3. So we don't know the methodology they are using. But I think the figure is not realistic and it's not good for economic planning.
Okay, maybe Terry Akase knows the methodology we have arrived at. So tell us.
When I saw that report by the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS, I said, well, it's like your father owns a restaurant or your mother owns a restaurant, and you don't expect staff of that restaurant to be the ones going out to tell people that the food the meals in that restaurant do not taste good. No staff of that restaurant will dare do that. I think that is the same thing that the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is doing, because perhaps they are under immense pressure from the federal government to release. We head towards 2025, which the government will clock 2 years. Because, as Ikem said, the indices are not there. Recently, just last month, the World Bank said 129 million Nigerians live below the poverty line. Just last month, 129 million Nigerians. That is well above half of the country's population, which is, at the last count, was put at 223 million people. So if you have 129 million Nigerians living below the poverty line, which at the moment is about 3,020 naira, 3,000 about 3,000 naira, which is commensurate with $1.9, okay, a day. That by estimation, Nigerians who are living with 3,000 naira per day, less than 3,000 naira per day, are more than 129 million. This is the dreadful statistics, and the World Bank has said so. So who will dispute that? Now, if you have more than half of the country's population living below the poverty line of 3,000 naira a day, and you are saying the GDP has grown. GDP has grown how? The current inflation of Nigeria is at an all-time high of 28 years. Okay, 34%. 34% inflation rate. And you are saying the GDP, which is gross domestic product, has improved. How? He can capture it succinctly. He said, if people cannot go to purchase goods because they don't have the capacity, how the economy grows, and people are seen to be, the economy is seen to be growing, the indices are there, that inflation reduces. People now is no longer helping them. So you can't tell us that the GDP, now the president was very excited when he listened to that, when he saw that report. But I don't blame President Tinubu, because any leader who is facing the volume of criticism that Mr. President is facing, if he hears something positive, at least for once, he will be excited. So I perfectly understand, and I share I sympathize with Mr. President. The criticisms have been overwhelming. So if his National Bureau of Statistics officials come to tell him, Mr. President, the economy is improving, it's like you have court jesters. I mean, who I'm not being harsh. You have people who come around and tell the king that, long live the king, you are doing well, may God bless your reign, we are happy, the people are happy. That's the same thing, if you ask me.
And let me also add that if you go through this report, you discover that the global average unemployment rate ratio is the average one is even 5.1%. So for Nigeria to have gone down 4.3%, that means we have more employed people here than even the US. That's what the census says.
Another thing that is getting me.
Sorry, Fane, but now the NBS, the Nigerian National Bureau of Statistics, said that the services sector is responsible for the growth of the GDP. Now, how? We have primary, secondary, and the services sector. We have the raw material sector, the manufacturing, and now the services, which is about ordinarily the retail sector. That's what it means if you break it down to that level. But how in the last 1 year, how have the services sector improved? It's something that everybody can see. A liter of petrol now is 1,200 plus. So how many people are affording to buy 20 liters of petrol at once in a filling station? How many? This is simple arithmetics. No one needs to be told that the GDP is not what it is according to the NBS. It's not. Let's stop lying to ourselves.
Okay, at this point we take a break, and then when we are back, we'll look at more headlines. You're welcome back. This is our still newspaper headlines review on Agate Television and Agate Radio. And then just before we took that break, by the way, I'm in the studio with public affairs analyst Leonard Ikem and TV Akasi, doing justice to what some of the national headlines are saying this morning. All right, before we took that break, we were looking at a drop in unemployment rate report. And the Labour are protesting the figures by MBS, saying that unemployment rate has dropped to 4.3%. Okay, so before then I had wanted to say something. Isn't it disturbing that, you know, data is critical to national development, and then the MBS, which are the custodians of critical national data, are now coming up with figures like this. Inflation figures, unemployment figures, and several other figures that they've brought out in recent times. And then Nigerians on the street are at variance with this data. So isn't it disturbing, Chief Akasi, isn't it disturbing that NBS is bringing out this?
That is why I said it looks to me that like the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, by the way, they have been doing a great job. I am not here to castigate any federal agency. The NBS, over time, even when we were in government, we depended on some of their reports to carry out development policies in Benue State. So they have been doing wonderfully well, I mean, over the years. But in this particular instance of the report, claiming that the unemployment rate has dropped and the GDP, that's gross domestic product, has improved, it appears to me that the report was made under pressure, because that is why many experts are faulting the reports, and even labor unions are complaining that report does not show the true picture of the reality of Nigeria's economy as it were now. Because now look at now, if you say employment has improved, in other words, that's what the report is saying, that many more Nigerians have got jobs, which means the unemployment rate has dropped. But if you place this side by side with the inflation rate in the instance of the GDP, it doesn't. It's a discordant tune. You can't really marry. You can't place them. The NBS should have placed the inflation and the GDP side by side. Let us see. Because the indices, when you're looking at inflation, you are looking at the purchasing power. If we have more money purchasing more goods, that's of course inflation comes in. But as it is now, how many Nigerians are living above the poverty line that we talked about? How many Nigerians have up to 5,000 naira a day?
How many?
They are more than half. The World Bank said more than half of Nigerians are living below 3,000 naira a day, and this is true. Go to the villages and take a sample, make a survey. If you go to one community and ask 100 people, do you get 3,000 naira every day? They will tell you not even 1,000, sometimes in a week. So where is the true situation? I think the NBS, the National Bureau of Statistics, wonderful job they have been doing. But in this case, they will need to do a review of their report, because Nigerians have rejected it as far as we are concerned.
Yeah, I also think that, Akase is laughing, but this is not a laughing matter.
What else do I do?
This is not a laughing matter, because, when you lie to a nation to this magnitude, you are killing the nation's economy.
Ike, aren't you being too harsh?
No, I want to be very. This is a matter. This is a matter of national development. We have to be factual about it. Apologies for anything that may be considered unprofessional. But I'm saying that, look, if you say we have unemployment reduced to 4.3%, that means government in the short run won't be planning to create more jobs. It's as serious as that. If the Tinubu administration plans to create more jobs, we are thereby presenting the budget. Now, if you come up with the statistics that we have only about 4.3% unemployment, as even below the national average of 5.1, that means Nigeria should focus more on other factors of the economy and not creating employment. So we should be very factual to ourselves. Like Akase said, that the Bureau of Statistics needs to review what they did. Or better still, tell Nigerians the methodologies they use, whether it is voodoo, whatever. Let us know how they arrive at those figures.
Okay, closely related to that, Japa workers.
And just before you go on, Fanen,
okay,
you are saying more jobs have been got by Nigerian youths. How true? Is it now? The economy is so bad that private companies are sacking. Some are folding up. Many are, they are relieving their employees of their appointments. But you go to Lagos, go to Abuja, go to major towns in Nigeria, even here in Benue State, some companies who had 50 staff have right-sized. I mean, have reduced the size of their workforce to maybe 30, 35. So you can see that practically that report is faulty, because you can't have, when people are sacking, companies are sacking their staff. You are saying more Nigerians have got jobs. I think that people who have been given responsibilities in this country to help Mr. President, he has a good heart for Nigeria. As far as I can assess him, President Tinubu means well. So it is up to those whom he has given responsibility to help him. Tell him the truth. If you can't go public, tell Mr. President, the head of the the National Bureau of Statistics can meet with Mr. President in his office and say, Mr. President, sir, the indicators are not good. And we advise that your government should do this, and do this. Because if it is done, we will get this positive result. If he can't go public to say this, he should tell Mr. President in-house that this is the truth, sir. This and this must be done if the economy is to improve. But to come to the gallery and tell us that the economy has improved is to look Nigerians in the face and spit into their faces. Okay,
according to Ikem, it's a voodoo arithmetic.
Yes.
Okay, we'll move on. Japa workers on federal government payroll resigning amid probe. Okay, head of the civil service of the Federation, who quote you, you had said that the highest level of corruption exists in the, in the public service.
Yes.
I quote you, you said that one certain time.
Yes.
All right, so I think we aren't going to dwell much on that. We have to proceed because of our time. All right, so the next newspaper is Nigerian Tribune. Nigerian Tribune. Senators query federal government borrowing. Tinubu's ministers justify plans. Senators query federal government borrowing as Tinubu's ministers justify plans. With a double rider, President assures better economy as latest GDP report indicates growth. Predicts 2025 rebasing of economy will bring prosperity. Okay. FCTA releases list of CFO defaulters in Abuja. Over 1 million violent crimes perpetrated against women in 2023. And then unemployment rate dropped to 4.3% in quarter two, of 2024. We've talked about that. Federal government committed to gender equality advancement. It's coming from Vice President Shettima. And then stakeholders beam searchlight on health sector. Number one, lament booming quackery, inadequate human resources, want existing policies on health implemented, and advocate 50% reduction in power costs to hospitals. All right, so we'd like to beam our searchlight also on the health sector, but specifically that stakeholders are advocating 50% reduction in power costs. What? Chief Akase.
Well, I don't know, but I thought you were going to ask me to comment on what the senators are saying there. I am interested in that. I will come back to the health issue. You see, the same insincerity that pervades the Nigerian polity. The same hypocrisy, if you ask me. Now, senators are telling the federal government to reduce its borrowing spree. But the senators have not told the federal government to cost their own cost. Where is the sincerity? If you look at how much it cost Nigeria to manage, to maintain, to look at the welfare, allowances, salaries, and everything of the 109 senators in the Red Chamber of this country, it will amaze you how much is spent on them in 1 year. Now, they have not spoken about that. Why have they not told the federal government to cut their cost, the cost of maintaining them, by half? That would be a good beginning. If the federal government does not borrow, where will he get money to maintain them? One senator, if I tell you how many people around a senator, how many legislative aides who are on the payroll of the federal government, it's so huge. And you are telling the federal government not to borrow. Now, in Nigeria's case, it's like even the borrowing in local BAMs in our country. If you go to a local BAM in the community, when one of the members of the BAM comes to receive the injure, that is debt, what you borrow from the BAM, he's excited. When it's time to pay back the loan, it becomes something else. Nigeria is always excited going to IMF and the other organizations to borrow money. But when it comes to paying back, that is where problem comes. So I support the senators for telling the federal government to cost the borrowing. But they should also look inwards. What are they doing to reduce their own cost? That's the point I'm making. Now, I will comment later about or you want me to comment about the heads?
Just still on the senator's query to the federal government, some Nigerians had advocated that this issue of House of Reps, House of Senate be put to a hold.
They should be merged.
And then also placed on temporary part-time appointment.
Yes. I am one of those who I support that Nigeria is the economy now is not strong enough to run by-camera legislature. We can merge and it become it should be seasonal. The people should go there, make laws and go back. It shouldn't be a career thing. It shouldn't be a full-time job that you go and stay in Abuja in a place you are not paying for water. The federal government is paying for your utility bills, everything are being paid by the federal government. It's so expensive to manage. So if we want to cost, we should begin from there. How many House of Reps members do we have? There are so many. And the money that is spent on them is not too far away from that of senators. So it's something that we should begin to look into. But they are the same people who are going to make that law. So will they make it? They will not. That's the contradiction. That's the irony of it. And the difficulty in it.
Okay. As Ikem, you want to add to that?
My worry is senators are not happy with the way federal government is borrowing, but who is approving these loans?
Okay.
That's one thing. You come to the media to say that you are not happy the way you want the federal government to cut down costs, but want them to stop borrowing. But then you are the ones also approving these loans. So it's coming to just plain to glass, just the way Tifa Akasa has said. If you want the federal government to stop borrowing, cut your own cost, look at the economy properly, and then see into the loans that you're supposed to approve and those that you're not supposed to approve. They are the ones approving these loans, for goodness sake. If we now cheer them up for saying that the federal government should stop borrowing, and then by tomorrow they go back through the back door and approve these loans, will you say no? So the problem rests with them.
Okay, so let's now slide to the health sector. Such light on health sector, the stakeholders lament booming quackery, inadequate human resources, and a existing policies on health implemented advocate 50% reduction in power cost. Iken, you'd like to continue with us on the health sector just quickly, because time is no longer much on our side.
If you look at what is happening, especially in our villages, quackery in the health sector is much. If you go to places like I mentioned my village, Kwande, you see people who are even lab attendants, operating people, having small places to operate people, carry on major operations, collect a lot of money, So if the government will move into sanitizing the health sector, it's fine. It's one of the most important sectors that we expect the government should take more time in sanitizing it. That has taken a lot of lives, allowing quacks stay much, and then with the widespread of quackery, even in towns here. I don't want to be specific, but I was passing around this Boko Alede Road. I saw one small place. I couldn't see about more than 2 sachets of sachets of drugs or whatever, and then I saw patients coming in droves in the evening around 5-6. So if the government is going to be more satellite in sanitizing this, removing the quacks from the health sector, it will be good. And about the 50% cost reduction.
Yeah, percent reduction in power costs to hospitals.
Yes, in hospitals. I think is also good. There are some policies that are human friendly, and also considering the fact that inflation is biting hard, so hard on everybody. Any reduction in costs is welcomed by us.
Okay, and of course we would advocate training and retraining of healthcare professionals.
In addition to that,
okay.
I will advocate that. Let's look at how we can control medical tourism, and the whole thing boils down to government officials going abroad. How will they stop going abroad? Is to make our hospitals to work, to have the right equipment, and if you have the right equipment in our hospitals to treat all manner of ailments, that is one step. And another step is regulation. The Nigerian Medical Association should collaborate with relevant government agencies to regulate, to checkmate quackery. Because, like Ikem said, if you go to communities, there are people there who are carrying out all manner of medical services. And when local government officials or state officials who are supposed to be regulating these people go to those communities, before they go there, they call the same quacks that they are coming. And the quacks will arrange big money. I'm not specifying on anybody, but these things are happening. The local government medical department or health department is supposed to be monitoring the activities of health operators in the local governments, right? The same thing at the state level. There is a wing of the medical ministry at the state level here, that a department that is supposed to be regulating the medical sector. So the Nigerian Medical Association in each state should collaborate with relevant government agencies to to curb quackery, and that will be the way to go. If you do that, but before then, you have to equip our hospitals, make them meet the standards. If you do that, those who own private hospitals will also step up and improve their facilities.
Okay, as we gradually move to the end, we want to look at, there's a week that is going on right now, which is talking about violence against crimes perpetrated against women. That's domestic violence. Okay, over 1 million violent crimes perpetrated against women in 2023. And the federal government committed to gender equity advancement. Federal government committed to gender equity advancement. Shetima. Okay, so again, talking about domestic violence you will agree with me that some men are also beaten by their wives.
Of course.
So how do we make of it?
Of course. You know, the world now is meant for women.
Okay.
You know, women, I was telling somebody that women control 85% authority in their marriages, and they have 85%. Only the men have only 15%.
Okay. How do we come about the
yeah, they take care of the house.
You work with MBS.
They take care of not this one is not this sort of
okay.
But of course, I'm telling you that women have 85% because they take care of the children, they take care of everything, while the husband will take care of the bills. You know, and in some cases, in some homes, even the women take care of the bills too. So we have already given them. There is no equality now. Women have more powers than we have. But at the same time, because of nature, we keep advocating for against violence in homes. You know, we should not also only restrict the violence against women, but we also talk about violence against men, or in homes generally, because it is something that is universal, has been there.
Okay.
We've been trying to, you know, stop it, but we're all humans.
All right.
And we'll still preach against
Okay,
it.
try to wrap up. All right, Chief Akasi, violence against women or domestic violence generally. I'd like to have your thoughts on that.
It is something that should and must be condemned by all people of goodwill. Whoever is involved, whoever is at the receiving end of violence, domestic violence, is supposed to be protected. Whether it is the woman, you know, battering the husband, it should be condemned, or the husband battering his wife, whatever it is. Some people live alone, just husband and wife in a house. And if there is domestic violence, if one of the parties, if one of the partners injures the other, or maybe something happens to two of them, who will save them? So it is better that people learn to live in peace. And the bottom line is communication. When families communicate, when partners, whether they are yet to consummate their relationship, when partners communicate, you discuss problems, you find solutions. So when partners talk, their children too learn to talk. When you have your wife and you have a husband, you are always talking. You are, you know, communicating. If there is a difference, you find a solution through communication. When husband and wife speak to each other, the children too watch and they learn from the example of their parents, and that reduces the chances of domestic violence.
Okay, thank you very much. Effective communication and peace in our homes is what we advocate. Well, thank you very much for being part of today's edition of Newspaper Headlines Review on Agate Television and of course Agate Radio. I'd like to appreciate you sincerely, Chief Tevye Akasi, for being part of the program today.
It is my pleasure.
And also Public Affairs Analyst Leonard Ikem, thank you very much for being part of the program.
As well.
My name is Fanen Kwano. Join us next week Tuesday for another interesting edition of Newspaper Headlines Review. Bye-bye.